Muchachos.
What it do?
Kate, I know you said your audio was going to be a little nervous, but where are you?
I am in an undisclosed location traveling at
He's
this
on
point.
Area 51.
That's what KGB does, yo. KGB just don't tell you what you need to know.
Right.
Our audience doesn't know, but he's a part of the UFO disclosure going on right now.
I'm actually flying some of those UFOs.
He's in a saucer. He's saucy in a saucer right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that'd be dope. Interview one of these aliens on Drink Champs.
Right. Exclusive.
Big fans of
Make some noise.
Right. All right, you
hold on, wait.
You had a code red. All right, go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead, Manny.
No. Yeah. That's where I was gonna go. Yes. But Kay, you had some shit going on too. If we can get to it with your son's birthday and stuff, but if we can't, we'll save it for the next one.
Did I have some shit going on?
Damn, it's been that long, huh? Well, no,
birthday was good. Birthday was smooth.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
But let's get into this code red action here.
I wish I had a drum roll. My soundboard's trash.
And I want some real deal advice. All right. So first week of school started pretty smooth.
Kindergarten is it kindergarten or first grade?
Kindergarten for my daughter.
Okay.
But she's first time in elementary school. She did 2 days last week, and then we went to Legoland, which is a whole other story that I'm not going to get into, which is a whole other thing.
She did 2 days. Sounds like she did a bid. She was there 2 days, son.
And then she started going, and then started up this week again. Now leading up to the story, real quick though, I did notice her starting pretty quickly, maybe the next day after the first day or Monday, starting to say, we're waking up earlier now because she has to get there by a certain time, which is a little earlier than before. So she's waking up groggy and she's starting to say, I don't want to go to school, but not fighting these past couple of days, just kind of throwing it out there that she doesn't really want to go and all that. So then yesterday, she tells my wife that a boy pushed her on the floor.
Damn.
And that I believe another boy, because she had like some shorts that I guess, I don't know, were a little baggy and maybe the back of her underwear showed or something like that. And then the boy was like, ew, and she said she told the teacher, I think, about the boy that pushed her, and she said the teacher didn't do anything.
Oh.
Right. But my daughter seemed fine when she told my wife, and then they called me on FaceTime. I was actually filming Drink Champs. It was right before I started, and she seemed fine, And my first reaction was, if they push you, you push them back. If he gets up and throws a punch, you punch him first, or you try, you punch him back. You defend yourself at all costs, and if anything, you tell the teacher after the fact, but don't let them accost you. So that was my whole thing. So this morning. Oh, wait. I left something out. And my wife's not going to like this. So while I'm talking on FaceTime with her, my wife is all emotional about it. She's going through that time of the month, though. She's really going to hate that I brought this up. And then
she should have, though. That's normal.
And then, so I don't know if that's a part of it, but she's emotional. And I'm telling her, keep it together because our daughter's watching you, and we need to show her that it's not a big deal, that she can get through this, no problem. It's part of life, and she's going to defend herself, and she's going to be fine. So this morning, right out the gate, my daughter doesn't even want to come downstairs. She's already like, I don't want to go to school. I don't want to go to school.
Oh man.
I come up and I just engage her quickly about what happened because obviously I didn't see her last night because of me filming. I come home too late. So I'm like, is it because of what happened with the boy? And she's like, yeah. Now, mind you, I'm starting to feel that it's not really about that.
Mm-hmm.
That she's utilizing that, leveraging that to like try to make us fold. So
she's manipulating, you think?
Yeah, but still, I want to discuss it with her to make sure, that everything's okay. So I reiterated what I told her about defending herself. She's done karate. She knows how to throw punches. If the boy pushes her, you push back, push with all your strength. And And, whatever, just defend yourself. Just don't let anybody get one over on you. So she just starts crying. She doesn't want to go to school. I said, you got to go to school. Trying to keep it together. But then it gets to the point in the morning where it's like, you got to get 2 kids ready, 2 kids fed breakfast. And my wife, she starts to get like on this thing because she's the one taking them to school, where she starts getting in a bad mood because she's rushing and she doesn't want to rush. And she's trying to get to the gym after she drops them off, which is at a certain time. So she's all starting to get upset. And my daughter just starts freaking out. She starts running around the house to avoid us from getting dressed, screaming at the top of her lungs. We go from trying to be understanding parents and talk her through this to we have to chase her and grab her, try to forcefully put her clothes on her. And then we feel bad about forcefully putting her clothes on her. So we stop and try to hug her and talk to her. And then,
right.
And then she calms down. And then we're like, all right, boom. And we try to now we're like, okay, we're going to give you the iPad in the car, which we don't ever do in the morning. And she's fine. And then all of a sudden she goes, I don't want to go to school. And then you're going to go to school. Ah! And then she's going crazy. So then I lose my mind. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I got to be the bad guy thing now. Let me see if this works. So I scream at her. That doesn't work. And I'm like, oh, this is only making it worse. Then, my wife screams at her. And it's just like this cycle of craziness. And my son's just there chilling.
Oh, so he's not wilding out. He's just observing.
For 1 second, he almost started, and he had to go to the dentist, which is his first dentist appointment today, which is a whole other thing that I took him to. So, he for a minute, he goes, I don't want to go to school either. And I go, and I looked at him like, don't even try it, bro. You're going to the dentist. And so he was chilling. It's almost like when she walls out so much, he's just like, let me just stay out of it. And, that's helpful. So we had to forcefully put her clothes on, which I definitely don't like to do that. She's kicking and screaming. There's nothing we can do to console her, to calm her down. I realize that it's not about the boy. She just doesn't want to go because she's also been saying things like, learning takes too long. Mommy, I'm too long in school. Mommy takes too long to pick me up. Truth is, she's getting out of school earlier than she was before. It's just that now she's got to, sit in a class and there's discipline and there's learning and she's actually got to do stuff. It's not before it was like almost like a daycare. So that discipline, she doesn't like it. We take her outside into the car, kicking and screaming, neighbors looking at us crazy. She's screaming like bloody murder, dude. Damn. My wife tells me that when they get to the school, she's not supposed to leave the car in the front without a person in it. But she had to because she's kicking and screaming, crying, doesn't care who's watching. A person from the school comes. My wife kind of explains what happened. This is kind of like the reason why she's acting like this. They're like, oh, and they try to help her through it. She cries and cries, so she gets into the class. The teacher ends up calling my wife this morning saying she won't stop crying. And she says she wants her mommy. Do you want to talk to her? And then my wife was like, nah, because if I talk to her, it's only going to probably make it worse. So the teacher's like, okay, well, I'm going to just ignore her. And I'm going to tell her they have a system in the class where they have a board with these pins. And if you're good, they put your pin up every day. And at the end of the week, whoever's at the top or whatever gets something, I guess. And then if you're bad, your pin goes down. So she had her pin up high. And the teacher told my wife, she's been the good kid the whole time. She's been the best kid. So this is unfortunate that this is happening. I didn't expect this from her. And so
real quick, when this happened, when she came home from school, did you or your wife talk to the teacher to kind of confirm what did happen?
So that happened in the call that happened today.
Okay.
My wife reiterated to her, and then the teacher said, because she said, oh, I forgot to mention something. She said that she told the teacher, I don't know if I said it, and the teacher didn't do anything about it.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So then my wife asked her, and she said, well, what happened was that they pushed each other. I got to get more clarity if someone did it first, but she basically said that it evened out. They pushed each other, and that's why the teacher didn't do anything about it. She said, for the most part, my daughter's the best, her best kid, one of her best kids. So she didn't see this coming. And she said, well, I'm just going to ignore her. And I'm going to tell her if she doesn't stop crying, I'm going to bring down her pin. And then my wife called back a couple of hours after that, and they said she calmed down. So 2 questions here. One is, how do you deal with a kid that's so out of control and get things done? Have you ever encountered that? And the second question is, what do you think? You think I'm gonna get this again tomorrow morning?
Probably. Yeah, I actually, it's a little different. Well, I might have told you guys about this before, but so back in second year of preschool, my son was having issues with another kid, and he hated going, and it was bad for a while. Like every time I would take him to drop him off, I'd walk him in, but he was holding on to me and crying, and then the teachers would have to kind of pull him off, and it was a mess, right? And heartbreaking, you know what I mean? And but then he'd be fine afterwards, calm down, and it's fine. But we went through that for, I mean, there was, I'd say, a good month or two of that was kind of every day. But then in like elementary school, I haven't had too much of that with what you're encountering on the elementary school side of things, but it gets tricky when they start getting into it with other kids, because if the teachers don't see it all, and then it's like, she's telling you that this kid pushed her, but then the teacher's saying, well, they pushed each other, but she left that part out of the story to you. And so that would happen sometimes with my son earlier on, when, probably closer to your daughter's age, first, second, third grade. You don't get the full story all the time, or the kids start to embellish a little bit to make it seem like
they're not wrong.
Right, exactly. And so there's a kind of a head scratcher, because you don't want to jump out the gate, and I don't even know what kind of advice to give you on that one. but that's tough, because you want to, you want to jump in, right? And you want to believe your child 100%, right? That's just the instinct. But you do got to kind of try to figure out what the real story is, so you can maneuver with a little bit more information. And Manny, I'm guessing you've had to deal with this quite a bit.
Yeah, I've had multiple occurrences of this, different ages throughout these kids' lives.
But really quick, man, before you answer, just to hone in on something very specific that I really would want to get from you guys, is the part of her just fighting ferociously to not go. Like, how do you defuse that? And like, I knew for a fact we could not give into this today, because if we would have gave in today,
no, you can't give in.
That's it. That's the rest of her life, her school life. She won.
No, you're gonna have to. If she does this multiple times, you're gonna just have to hold tight and just keep doing it, and until you kind of break her, in a sense of the habit. You know what I mean?
So she's approaching this as the victim, right? Your daughter. So it's important. It sounds like you've already done this, but so I could think of my son in particular, because my son would lie about stuff or stretch the truth, but I would sniff out the bullshit. But I didn't necessarily get on him too tough, because I wasn't 100% sure about all the moving parts of a particular situation. But I got the sense that he was probably lying more than half of it, right? With more than half of it. So I just tried to shut up and just listen and have them tell the story and whatever, and then check them on some things. And that would quickly move into like a role-playing situation, where it'd be like, all right, so if that happens again, if this person says this or touches you like that, how are you going to counter? And then we kind of go into that. And as we're having that discussion, he's leveling out. But then at the same time, the biggest piece of that is just the listening piece while I'm doing my fact finding. And at the end of the day with my son, there was a situation with this kid where the kid he struggled with I think it was like attention deficit disorder, something like that. And so the kid, he was hyperactive in certain cases, and then would quickly snap and go left and all this stuff. So as my son and he are having, playtime or whatever, that he'd see all these different emotions happen at the same time, roughly. So it kind of panicked my son, and then the kid got a little aggressive. My son doesn't really like the touchy-feely stuff. And so it was a lot of that. And so that's what threw my son off. But at the same time, my son was kind of egging some of the situation on as well. So he didn't get to the point where he was like, yo, I don't want to go to school, but there would be like outbursts. And so what I found helpful was, particularly with my girls, this was most effective. Just like hearing them out and then standing firm on why school needs to happen calmly, which doesn't always work, but trying to be calm, and then just like easing them back into school. So for me, sometimes that would mean it would be like a 45-minute process. Like me parked outside the school, waiting, like walking my daughter through, blah, blah, like bringing her blanket in, whatever it took to get her in the building, and then sit around for a little bit with her and the teacher. So she started to get into her mode in school, and slowly me distancing myself.
Well, they don't allow that at this school.
Right.
You
yeah.
can't go in to
it's
the
different
thing.
Yeah.
They don't even want you walking them to the door. They want you to drop them off, and then there's a person from the school there that kind of guides them in. Yeah.
That's great, because then you just sever the whole attachment.
Well, today my wife felt like she had to kind of, because she wasn't going to come out of the car willingly, and she was holding on to my wife's arm and screaming and crying and saying, "Don't leave me." And the thing that you're mentioning about talking through, to me, it's not about the specific incident, because I don't feel that that's really, she's just using that. She just doesn't want to go to school.
Yeah.
Because at that point, she's just like, I just don't want to go to school. Like, I could see her turning on and off her emotions in terms of crying. She was just using that. She just didn't want to go to school. She's just, for whatever reason, she's not feeling it. And so,
maybe you got to take her to school in the morning a couple times to be with the firmness of.
Yeah, I mean, I was planning on trying to do it tomorrow. I got to see, because they gave her my wife some kind of like a park. I'm sure I could transfer the parking pass to my car, but yeah, I was thinking of that, or maybe both of us, so that we can kind of get out the car if we have to.
Yeah, show the united front of like, okay, we're both,
yeah,
this is gonna happen no matter what you say or you.
Yeah, and of course, you have in the back of your mind, like, God forbid that I'm reading this wrong, and there is some kind of danger. There is a bully that's really being mean, but I feel like I trust my senses. And again, when she told my wife yesterday, she told her like very nonchalant, like, "Oh yeah, this kid pushed me, and I fell down, and this kid said ew to me, and I told the teacher, and the teacher didn't really do anything." And she was like, it didn't really phase her. It didn't seem like it phased her. So
you're gonna know better than anybody. You two, you and your wife. So like, trust your gut with this stuff. The mistake. Think about it like this in this particular case: the mistake you're making, if you're wrong, is probably going to be very minimal, because the next time, tomorrow, let's just say, you'll be able to catch on some little nuanced thing that will tell you if in fact some other stuff is going down.
Right.
Because the shit doesn't just like go away. Like if it's, especially when it's bullying, like they find their target and they keep on their ass. So if tomorrow she comes back and they're still singing the same song and or something else is off, you'll be able to nip that in the bud. But my guess is you're correct.
And I feel, again, I don't want to be a bad parent in the sense that I'm instructing her, like, because my thing is, maybe I'm thinking like prison and shit. Like, I'm like, if you got to make an example out of this kid, because bullies are going to try to, find a weak person, and then they're going to stay on you. So you better have that bully move on to the next, because you're not the weak link. And I'm telling her, like, push hard and hit if need be. And I don't know, man. Do y'all think that's the right thing to be telling her?
That's what we tell our son. I don't know if it's the right thing, but it's also like, if you don't show the other side that you
stand up.
If you let him mess with you, it'll just continue.
Right.
But if you show him that you're not gonna take it, then they'll go on to the next.
Yeah, and I told her, I said, you have the tools. You did karate for over a year. You have the tools, and she's strong as hell. So I kind of felt good when they said that they pushed each other, because I know that she's strong, so she could push hard.
Yeah.
I tell my son the same thing. I say my son, but I tell all my kids the same thing. But I always tell them, look for the opportunity before you start getting physical to try and understand. Yeah, to try to understand where they're coming from. And it may not be realistic, right? That's true too. But like, because with this kid that I was mentioning before, like what my son was telling me, it sounded like he had some sort of issues, right? And I was like, yo, like he wants to be your friend, but he's having a conflict in how to express himself.
Right.
So it doesn't make it right that you feel this way. But like, if you can look at it through that lens and try and understand, maybe the impact of what he's doing may not be as substantial to you. Now, if he puts his hands on you, that's a whole different story.
Right.
Or if he's really like
before hands,
offending
you can diffuse it 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's because again, like it's things I've experienced with my kids that have not been physical, thank God. Like it's always been, making them feel a particular way. Some of it might just be verbal. I wouldn't even call it abuse, but like talking crazy maybe in a certain moment or two. And I'm like, yo, but like that depends on what your mood is and what's happening with them. You got to kind of look at both things, right? You got to have a screwed up morning, and then somebody says, yo, your kicks are dirty, and that might trigger you to feel the way, right?
All right.
So it's stuff like that I try to work with my kids through so that they understand, like, yo, like emotion plays a lot of times the biggest role in setting things off. If you can temper your emotions and try to seek understanding, then a lot of the stuff gets more or less figured out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely telling her, don't be the aggressor. Don't push, don't touch anybody unless they touch you. And then you defend yourself. Then you have the right to defend yourself.
But my 7-year-old, she plays victim all the time because she's trying to get her manipulation game is strong. She's like fucking elite, and it works.
Navy SEAL of that shit.
Yeah, yo, and she wins everybody over that way in school. Like people, when she wants sympathy, she gets it because she knows who to target to get that from them. When she wants her way, she knows who to target. So we got to juggle this from the home front and be like, yo, you played yourself over here. Don't do that shit because you're taking advantage of so and so. And whether it's a teacher or a student, she has the tact to be able to do that. So it's a little bit kind of flipped in the sense that we're trying to not discourage that because there's some valuable tools that she has developed in being able to do that, but not to abuse her quote unquote power.
Right. But yeah, I do think it's a great idea for you and your wife to try a drop off together.
Yeah.
If your daughter's still putting up a fight, I think that'd be the next step.
I mean, even if she doesn't, just go tomorrow together
But let me ask you this, because I remember, I think it was last week that your son had to stay. They both had to stay home because they were sick. But when your son had to stay home, she took issue. Was that right?
Oh yeah. That was
2 weeks ago, maybe.
Yeah. What it was is she was sick first, and he had to go to school, and then he got sick, and she had to go to school, and she was upset about it.
Well, did she know that he had to go to the dentist and assume that he was staying home yesterday?
No.
Okay.
No, she understood.
Because that could have also been...
But he wasn't staying home. He went to school after the dentist.
Okay.
And like I said, that's another thing. He didn't do terrible, but he didn't really do too well at the dentist, his first dentist visit. He wasn't too happy about having a electric toothbrush by a nurse in his mouth.
So long as there's no needles.
Parenting, man.
Gotta love it, man.
Yo, so wait, question for you, E. So you trying to figure out, like, all right, how do I navigate this? Because like Kay said, and I agree, this ain't gonna be the last time you're gonna deal with this, right? So as your not a question, but more a comment, what you're going to have to do is continue to adapt to the situation and have conversation, like navigate it and keep.
You can't have conversation. You keep saying that like I'm talking to a 10-year-old.
No,
She's
all
5 years old, and then she's screaming at the top of her lungs. She doesn't want to hear whatever you want to say to her. There's no conversation. I gotta stop you there.
But all right, maybe it's not conversation, but it's you reaffirming what you and your wife essentially believe, which is you got to go to school, and in different ways you got to say, but when you have opportunities to do so, not like you're going to school. No, that's not going to work.
It just in the morning craziness, you just feel so helpless, and then what ends up happening is that me and my wife start going at each other's throats because we're both like frustrated.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't help anybody, but. Our main thing is that you just feel helpless. You feel like, you're not gonna hit me. And my wife was telling her, like, oh, I'm gonna have to give you pow pow. And we don't do that hitting thing really. Like, it's happened maybe 2 times. And once me and maybe once my wife did it. But she told her that today. And I don't want to resort to hitting them for this. It was bad enough to force her to put on her clothes. I don't like that feeling. I don't want her to have that feeling of being forced to do anything like that. And I'm like telling her, calm down, dude, calm down. She's just like, and again, I think it's a part of the manipulation. She's smart. She knows the crazier she makes herself feel. She gets to the point where she's like about to throw up because she's like gasping and crying. I feel like she knows she can get herself to that level. And it's like, if I throw up, then I can't go to school, like, like that's how crazy she takes it. She takes it to a whole other level. And I'm just like, yo, and you just don't know what to do. You feel helpless, and you feel like, I don't know. I don't think we're gonna get this kid to school because how is she gonna go to school? We have to put her in a stretcher in a straitjacket and roll her in. Like, so I'm surprised that she got in school today because that's how wild she was. And that's where I'm like trying to find out. Like, I mean, if anybody's listening or watching, tell me any techniques you use. In the comments, if you have a wild kid, don't tell me like Manny, have a conversation. It's not working.
Why don't you have a conversation, bro?
Conversation's not working. This guy wants to put my daughter on the therapist chair and sit back and take notes and be like, let's talk about this, young child.
Let's Dr. Phil her. Nah, man.
I feel for you, E.
But you know what? You guys did well though, considering, right? Like she went to
school. You got to school, right?
Yeah, I mean, kudos to my wife because, that's not fun to be and it's like you start to say to yourself, is my kid the only one? Like, like if you don't, I'm just saying, I'm assuming my wife didn't tell me there was other kids wilding out.
Not that day, but it happens all the time.
And and it's crazy because the teacher did say, wow, she's the kid, the good one. How did this happen?
Yeah. It happens, bro. Just got to keep rolling with the punches, kid.
Yeah.
In other news, I had a good vacation. Did a little road trip.
Look at your fucking vacation, man. I'm telling you about my life.
You were in hell, and I was in heaven.
No, I wasn't in hell. I wouldn't call it hell.
But I've told you guys about road trips and how much we've enjoyed them over the years. And so this one, we went from New York to Delaware, which is like 4-hour drive or so to the beach over there, which is not a place I've ever really even considered going. It's a spot called Rehoboth Beach in Delaware, and it was dope. We also quickly went down to Ocean City, Maryland, just to check it out, and it was whack. So we came right back to Rehoboth. and my kids
collectively, the family was like, this sucks.
Yeah, everybody.
Oh, okay.
And the last time I had gone to the first and last time I went to Ocean City, Maryland, I was like 13. So 30 years ago, what I remember that place to be was pretty dope. But the context is all skewed because I'm a grown ass man now. I've had more experiences. I have a better sense of what's to my liking and what isn't. 13-year-old kid out of the Bronx that barely got out of the Bronx to go to Ocean City, Maryland was like, yo, this is the bomb.
All right.
Not the case, bro. The boardwalk was kind of crap. But the again, like all these trips, there's always growth that happens with my family and the bond that we have. And my kids, we love to see how down they are for each other. And it proves itself out all the time. And it's little things. It's like the way they play with each other. My daughter's 6, my eldest is 16. you don't really consider a 16-year-old wanting to play with a 7-year-old and a 10-year-old. Like that shit feels uncommon.
Right.
But they're playing in the water together, in the sand. They just run around doing, silly shit. And it was cool. So we had a good time.
Do they get sad like the night before it's time to leave?
Nah, yo, we're really good about that too as a unit. Like, I don't know if it's the way we plan things, my wife and I. Like, it was enough time where we got to experience what we felt like we wanted to experience. And then everybody was like, oh man, I can't wait to sleep in my bed.
Yeah.
Even if it's like Disney, like some kids never want to leave. My kids are like,
Right.
nah, we good. Let's go.
Well, I went to whack ass Legoland. You guys ever been to Legoland?
No, I've tried to avoid as many. My wife would get annoyed with me because I'm always trying to avoid going to the amusement parks because it's just lines and like, yeah, why don't we do something?
Well, I mean, now they got all kinds of fast passes and all these. I get all that extra stuff to try to speed things along. But this one, I was telling someone that had hit me up randomly, and I was like, "Oh, I'm with the family at Legoland." They're like, "Oh man, dope! I want to take my kids," and I'm like, "It's terrible, man." And they're like, "Oh no," and I'm like, "But if you live in the area in Florida, and you have small kids, you're gonna have to bring them." But I'm just letting you know it sucks.
Oh.
And it's and if you compare it to like Disney and all those things, man, it's like night and day how bad it is. And I feel bad for the people that work there, man. It's such chaos. They just seem like they're overworked and they have to deal with all these little kids. Like you go into we stayed at the Legoland Resort Hotel, and then right next to it is Legoland. The minute those doors open into the lobby, it's just like a sea of chaos. Oh, it's like a teacher had 1,000 kids by themselves. Like one teacher was had to deal with 1,000 kids. That's what it looked like. And it's like pools of Lego and kids throwing them around and then kids falling on the Legos. Both my kids got scraped up on their knees because they fell on Legos. Oh, no. And it's just a hot mess, man. A hot mess. And then the park itself, out of 8 rides we did, 6 of them broke down while we were on them.
Oh shit.
It's like the local fair is probably like the best comparison to what that was. And again, shout out to the people that work there because I just feel like they're probably underpaid and overworked. They just look miserable.
And just think, you paid for that misery.
Yeah. Top dollar too.
The only thing that was worth it was seeing my kids. My kids, to them it's not whack. I mean, maybe a little bit, but in comparison to Disney, but for them to go into the one thing that they loved and to see their faces light up was the room. The room was all Lego themed.
That's cool.
And that looked cool. But the hotel itself, again, comparing to what we've been to, it just looked like it was an old hotel renovated to be Lego. So you felt that it was an older hotel. And it was, oh man. But again, what I have embraced and starting to love is actually driving with the family for several hours. And I just love driving them, piloting them, and having them in the back and getting the snacks and even if they sometimes are on their pad but then they get off and then we talk and they fall asleep and I don't know, just there's something about that's special to me.
No, it's definitely good family time. It's good bonding. I mean, even when we take road trips or any kind of trips together at the end of the day, and my son will often bring it up.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, I'm getting.
Oh yeah. No, all
Hello?
good.
Sorry to bother you. I just wanted to let you know that she was playing in the playground and she decided to jump off the little bridge that we have in the playground and she landed on her knee. Looking like his little pink on the knees I gave her.
Okay, but is she limping?
No, not at all.
Okay, thank you very much. I think my wife is going to be picking her up shortly.
Okay, I left her a message in case.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
Bye. I had a feeling that it was a school when I saw Miami-Dade County.
Damn, breaking news on air. She all right?
Scraped her knee, it sound like?
Yeah, she jumped.
So she's enjoying school is what that means. Because she jumped off some shit playing and she's chilling.
Why do they feel they need to call me, though, for that?
That's good, bro.
Is it? Like, I don't know.
Because she's probably going to have a little bit of a bruise or some sort of scab or something. And then you have to account for that.
Okay.
Because if she came home and she's all her knees are busted up, you're gonna be like, yo, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
They don't want a crazy Cuban running up in that school. So
I like that she started off with she's fine, because that's the first thing they need to like throw out there.
Wait, are we keeping that?
Yeah, you can keep that. Just the name or whatever. Just take it out.
Yeah.
And even the school name. The school name.
That was classic.
Yo, final question. Final question before we depart. By the way, that was wild. I'm glad your daughter's okay.
Yeah.
You guys heard of the Barbie movie? Obviously, at this point,
Your favorite movie.
Have you guys seen it?
You keep roaring about it.
Did your kids? Well, your son probably not. Kay probably doesn't necessarily want to jump on it. But did your daughter?
My daughter's no.
She wasn't into it. Okay,
not yet. I mean, we doesn't seem to be on her radar.
Okay. Well, my kids all wanted to go see it. So instead of me being Kay and being like, why don't we go to this? I was like, fuck it. Let's just go. Because they always like raising their hand, like really pumped about it. My son too, he was like, yeah, no, I want to go with my sisters. I was like, all right, so let's go. I didn't enjoy it, but it wasn't about me. So I just kind of went, did the thing, tried not to fall asleep. And then we had was able to chime in on the conversation, but I hated it. But they loved it. So I sacrificed.
Don't lie, bro. You like that shit.
No, I didn't.
You went and bought all the merch.
Did it. But I did see mad merch. They
spent a lot of money on that promotion of that movie, man.
Yeah, and I heard they made a lot of money too. Like it was a big ass blockbuster. It's crazy.
Who's that? Is that what company is that? Mattel?
Yeah, I think it is Mattel.
Because all these toy companies now, they're turning into, like, Hasbro's doing an amusement park now in Arizona, I believe, which seems dope. No?
Yeah, okay. Why not? If so long as it's not like Legoland experiences, it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's new. Well, side note for anybody, as much as I'm bashing Legoland, they have a Peppa Pig world or something like that, right? In the same thing. I know Peppa Pig, there's people are not feeling Peppa Pig, but that was actually pretty all right because it's brand new. It seemed like it's small as hell. You could do it like in 2 hours or 1 hour. Like you could see the park from the middle. You could look around and you see the entire park. And the workers seemed like they definitely enjoyed that job over the people next door to them.
Wait, what's wrong with Peppa Pig? I must have missed the news.
I mean, there's a dude. I know there's a dude on social media that he bashes Peppa Pig because I guess Peppa talks back to her parents or something.
Oh,
I don't know. Whatever.
Daddy Pig. I saw Daddy Pig in Delaware.
It's funny because you posted that picture. We had just gone to Peppa Pig World.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he wanted a fly dad bag, so I had to bless him, and he was happy.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my report.
All right, guys. Well, good to see y'all.
Let me get on this. I gotta call my wife and make sure my daughter's okay because it was not one thing as the other. Yeah.
All right, y'all.
Let us know. All right, y'all.
Fellas. Peace.